The Seventh Book of the Odysseys of Homer. The Argument. Nausicaa arrives at town, and then Ulysses. He makes known his suit to Arete, who view takes of his vesture, which she knew, and asks him from whose hands it came. He tells, with all the hapless frame of his affairs in all the while since he forsook Calypso's isle. Another Argument. Eta. The honour'd minds and welcome things Ulysses finds in Scheria's kings. Thus pray'd the wise and God‐observing man. The maid, by free force of her palfreys, won access to town, and the renownéd court reach'd of her father, where, within the port, she stay'd her coach, and round about her came her brothers, made as of immortal frame, who yet disdain'd not, for her love, mean deeds, but took from coach her mules, brought in her weeds, and she ascends her chamber, where purveyed a quick fire was by her old chambermaid Eurymedusa, the Apian born, and brought by sea from Apria t' adorn the court of great Alcinous, because he gave to all the blest Phæacians laws, and like a heav'n born pow'r in speech acquir'd the people's ears. To one then so admir'd, Eurymedusa was esteem'd no worse than worth the gift. Yet now, grown old, was nurse to ivory‐arm'd Nausicaa, gave heat to all her fires, and dress'd her privy meat. Then rose Ulysses, and made way to town; which ere he reach'd, a mighty mist was thrown by Pallas round about him, in her care, lest, in the sway of envies popular, some proud Phæacian might foul language pass, justle him up, and ask him what he was. Ent'ring the lovely town yet, through the cloud Pallas appear'd, and like a young wench show'd bearing a pitcher, stood before him so as if objected purposely to know what there he needed; whom he question'd thus: "Know you not, daughter, where Alcinous, that rules this town, dwells? I, a poor distress'd mere stranger here, know none I may request to make this court known to me." She replied: "Strange father, I will see you satisfied in that request. My father dwells just by the house you seek for. But go silently, nor ask nor speak to any other. I shall be enough to show your way. The men that here inhabit do not entertain with ready kindness strangers, of what worth or state soever, nor have taken forth lessons of civil usage or respect to men beyond them. They, upon their powers of swift ships building, top the watery towers, and Jove hath given them ships, for sails so wrought they cut a feather and command a thought." This said, she usher'd him, and after he trod in the swift steps of the Deity. The free‐sail'd seaman could not get a sight of our Ulysses yet, though he forthright both by their houses and their persons pass'd. Pallas about him such a darkness cast by her divine pow'r, and her reverend care, she would not give the town‐born cause to stare. He wonder'd, as he pass'd, to see the ports, the shipping in them, and for all resorts the goodly market steads, and isles beside for the heroes, walls so large and wide, rampires so high, and of such strength withal, it would with wonder any eye appall. At last they reach'd the court, and Pallas said: "Now, honour'd stranger, I will see obey'd your will, to show our ruler's house. 'Tis here, where you shall find kings celebrating cheer. Enter amongst them, nor admit a fear. More bold a man is, he prevails the more, Though man nor place lie ever saw before. You first shall find the queen in court, whose name is Arete, of parents born the same that was the king her spouse. Their pedigree I can report. The great earth shaker, he of Peribœa, that her sex outshone, and youngest daughter was to Eurymedon, who of the unmeasur'd minded giants sway'd the imperial sceptre, and the pride allay'd of men so impious with cold death, and died himself soon after, got the magnified in mind Nausithous, whom the kingdom's state first held in supreme rule. Nausithous gat Rhexenor, and Alcinous, now king. Rhexenor, whose seed did no male fruit spring, and whom the silver bow grac'd Phœbus slew young in the court, his shed blood did renew in only Arete, who now is spouse to him that rules the kingdom in this house, and is her uncle King Alcinous, who honours her past equal. She may boast more honour of him than the honour'd most of any wife in earth can of her lord, how many more soever realms afford, that keep house under husbands. Yet no more her husband honours her than her blest store of gracious children. All the city cast eyes on her as a Goddess, and give taste of their affections to her in their prayers. Still, as she decks the street, for all affairs wrapped in contention, she dissolves to men. Whom she affects, she wants no mind to deign goodness enough. If her heart stand inclined to your despatch, hope all you wish to find, your friends, your longing family, and all that can within your most affections fall." This said, away the grey‐eyed Goddess flew along the untamed sea, left the lovely hue Scheria presented. Out flew Marathon, and ample streeted Athens lighted on, where to the house that cast so thick a shade of Erechtheus she ingression made. Ulysses to the lofty builded court of King Alcinous made bold resort, yet in his heart cast many a thought, before the brazen pavement of the rich court bore his enter'd person. Like heaven's two main lights the rooms illustrated both days and nights. On every side stood firm a wall of brass, ev'n from the threshold to the inmost pass, which bore a roof up that all sapphire was. The brazen thresholds both sides did enfold silver pilasters, hung with gates of gold, whose portal was of silver, over which a golden cornice did the front enrich. On each side, dogs, of gold and silver fram'd, the house's guard stood, which the Deity lam'd with knowing inwards had inspir'd, and made that death nor age should their estates invade. Along the wall stood every way a throne, from the entry to the lobby, every one cast over with a rich wrought cloth of state, beneath which the Phæacian princes sate at wine and food, and feasted all the year. Youths forged of gold at every table there stood holding flaming torches, that, in night, gave through the house each honour'd guest his light. And to encounter feast with housewifery, in one room 50 women did apply their several tasks. Some apple colour'd corn ground in fair querns, and some did spindles turn, some work in looms, no hand least rest receives, but all had motion apt as aspen leaves. And from the weeds they wove, so fast they laid, and so thick thrust together thread by thread, that the oil, of which the wool had drunk his fill, did with his moisture in light dews distil. As much as the Phæacian men excell'd all other countrymen in art to build swift‐sail'd ship, so much the women there for work of webs past other women were. Past, I mean, by Pallas' means, they understood the grace of good works, and had wits as good. Without the hall, and close upon the gate, a goodly orchard ground was situate, of near 10 acres, about which was led a lofty quickset. In it flourish'd high and broad fruit trees, that pomegranates bore, sweet figs, pears, olives, and a number more most useful plants did there produce their store, whose fruits the hardest winter could not kill, nor hottest summer wither. There was still fruit in his proper season all the year. Sweet Zephyr breath'd upon them blasts that were of varied tempers. These he made to bear ripe fruits, these blossoms. Pear grew after pear, apple succeeded apple, grape the grape, fig after fig came. Time made never rape of any dainty there. A sprightly vine spread here his root, whose fruit a hot sunshine made ripe betimes. Here grew another green, here some were gathering, here some pressing seen. A large allotted several each fruit had, and all the adorned grounds their appearance made in flower and fruit, at which the king did aim to the precisest order he could claim. 2 fountains grac'd the garden, of which one pour'd out a winding stream, that overrun the grounds for their use chiefly. The other went close by the lofty palace gate, and lent the city his sweet benefit. And thus the Gods the court deck'd of Alcinous. Patient Ulysses stood a while at gaze, but, having all observed, made instant pace into the court, where all the peers he found, and captains of Phæacia, with cups crown'd offering to sharp‐eyed Hermes, to whom last they used to sacrifice, when sleep had cast his inclination through their thoughts. But these Ulysses passed, and forth went, nor their eyes took note of him, for Pallas stopped the light with mists about him, that, unstayed, he might first to Alcinous and Arete present his person. And of both them, she, by Pallas' counsel, was to have the grace of foremost greeting. Therefore his embrace he cast about her knee, and then off flew the heav'nly air that hid him. When his view with silence and with admiration struck the court quite through, but thus he silence broke: "Divine Rhexenor's offspring, Arete, to thy most honour'd husband, and to thee, a man whom many labours have distress'd, is come for comfort, and to every guest, to all whom heav'n vouchsafe delightsome lives. And after to your issue that survives a good resignment of the goods ye leave, with all the honour that yourselves receive amongst your people. Only this of me is the ambition, that I may but see, by your vouchsaf'd means and betimes vouchsaf'd, my country earth, since I have long been left to labours and to errors, barr'd from end, and far from benefit of any friend." He said no more, but left them dumb with that, went to the hearth, and in the ashes sat aside the fire. At last their silence brake, and Echinëus the old hero spake, a man that all Phæacians pass'd in years, and in persuasive eloquence all the peers knew much, and us'd it well, and thus spake he: "Alcinous, it shews not decently, nor doth your honour what you see admit, that this your guest should thus abjectly sit, his chair the earth, the hearth his cushion, ashes as if apposed for food. A throne, adorn'd with due rites, stands you more in hand To see his person plac'd in, and command That instantly your heralds fill in wine, That to the God that doth in lightnings shine We may do sacrifice; for he is there Where these his rev'rend suppliants appear. Let what you have within be brought abroad, To sup the stranger. All these would have show'd This fit respect to him, but that they stay For your precedents, that should grace the way." When this had added to the well inclin'd And sacred order of Alcinous' mind, then of the great inwit the hand he seiz'd, And from the ashes his fair person rais'd, Advanc'd him to a well adorned throne, And from this seat rais'd his most lovéd son, Laodamas, that next himself was set To give him place. The handmaid then did get A ewer of gold, with water fill'd, which plac'd Upon a caldron, all with silver grac'd, She pour'd out on their hands. And then was spread A table, which the butler set with bread, As others serv'd with other food the board, In all the choice the present could afford. Ulysses meat and wine took, and then thus The king the herald call'd: "Pontonous, serve wine through all the house, that all may pay Rites to the Lightner, who is still in way With humble suppliants, and them pursues With all benign and hospitable dues." Pontonous gave act to all he will'd, In honey sweetness giving minds wine fill'd, Disposing it in cups for all to drink. All having drunk what either's heart could think Fit for due sacrifice, Alcinous said: "Hear me, ye dukes, that the Phæacians lead, And you, our counsellors, that I may now Discharge the charge my mind suggests to you For this our guest. Feast past, and this night sleep. Next morn, our senate summon'd, we will keep Justs, sacred to the Gods, and this our guest Receive in solemn court with fitting feast. Then think of his return, that, underhand Of our deduction, his natural land, Without more toil or care, and with delight, And that soon giv'n him, how far hence decite Soever it can be, he may ascend, And in the mean time without wrong attend, Or other want fit means to that ascent. What, after, austere Fates shall make the event Of his life's thread now spinning, and began When his pain'd mother freed his root of man, He must endure in all kinds. If some God perhaps abides with us in his abode, And other things will think upon than we, The Gods' wills stand, whoever yet were free Of their appearance to us, when to them We offer'd hecatombs of fit esteem, and would at feast sit with us, even where we order'd our session. They would likewise be encounterers of us, when in way alone About his fit affairs went any one. Nor let them cloak themselves in any care To do us comfort, we as near them are, As are the Cyclops, or th' impious race Of earthy giants, that would heav'n outface." Ulysses answer'd: "Let some other doubt Employ your thoughts than what your words give out, Which intimate a kind of doubt that I Should shadow in this shape a Deity. I bear no such least semblance, or in wit, Virtue, or person. What may well befit One of those mortals, whom you chiefly know Bears up and down the burthen of the woe Appropriate to poor man, give that to me, Of whose moans I sit in the most degree, And might say more, sustaining griefs that all The Gods consent to, no one 'twixt their fall And my unpitied shoulders letting down The least diversion. Be the grace then shown To let me taste your free giv'n food in peace. Through greatest grief the belly must have ease; Worse than an envious belly nothing is. It will command his strict necessities. Of men most griev'd in body or in mind That are in health, and will not give their kind A desperate wound. When most with cause I grieve, it bids me still, Eat, man, and drink, and live, and this makes all forgot. Whatever ill I ever bear, it ever bids me fill; but this ease is but forc'd, and will not last, Till what the mind likes be as well embrac'd. And therefore let me wish you would partake In your late purpose, when the Morn shall make Her next appearance. Deign me but the grace, Unhappy man, that I may once embrace My country earth. Though I be still thrust At ancient ills, yet make me but see that, And then let life go, when withal I see My high roof'd large house, lands, and family." This all approv'd, and each will'd every one, Since he hath said so fairly, set him gone. Feast pass, and sacrifice, to sleep all vow Their eyes at either's house. Ulysses now was left here with Alcinous and his queen, the all lov'd Arete. The handmaids then the vessel of the banquet took away. When Arete set eye on his array, Knew both his out and under weed, which she made with her maids, and thus mus'd by what means he Obtain'd their wearing; which she made request To know, and wings gave to these speeches: "Guest, first let me ask, what, and from whence you are? And then, who grac'd you with the weeds you wear? Said you not lately you had err'd at seas, And thence arriv'd here?" Laertiades to this thus answer'd: "'Tis a pain, O Queen, still to be op'ning wounds Wrought deep and green, of which the Gods have open'd Store in me; yet your will must be serv'd. Far hence, at sea, there lies an isle, that bears Ogygia's name, where Atlas' daughter, th' ingenious dame, Fair hair'd Calypso, lives, a Goddess grave, And with whom men nor Gods society have. Yet I, past man unhappy, liv'd alone, By heav'n's wrath forc'd, her house companion. For Jove had with a fervent lightning cleft My ship in twain, and far at black sea left Me and my soldiers, all whose lives I lost. I in mine arms the keel took, and was toss'd 9 days together up from wave to wave. The 10th grim night the angry Deities Drave me and my wrack on the isle, in which doth dwell Dreadful Calypso, who exactly well Receiv'd and nourish'd me, and promise made To make me deathless, nor should age invade My pow'rs with his deserts through all my days. All mov'd not me, and therefore on her stays 7 years she made me lie, and there spent I The long time, steeping in the misery Of ceaseless tears the garments I did wear From her fair hand. The 8th revolvéd year, Or by her chang'd mind, or by charge of Jove, She gave provoked way to my wish'd remove, And in a many jointed ship, with wine Dainty in savour, bread, and weeds divine, Sign'd, with a harmless and sweet wind, my pass. Then 17 days at sea I homeward was, and by the 18th The dark hills appear'd that your earth thrusts up. Much my heart was cheer'd, unhappy man, For that was but a beam, to show I yet Had agonies extreme to put in sufferance, Which the earth shakers sent, crossing my way With tempests violent, unmeasur'd seas uplifting, nor would give the billows leave to let my vessel live the least time quiet, that even sighed to bear their bitter outrage, which at last did tear her sides in pieces, set on by the winds. I yet through swum the waves that your shore binds, till wind and water threw me up to it, when coming forth, a ruthless billow smit against huge rocks, and an accessless shore my mangled body. Back again I bore, and swum till I was fall'n upon a flood, whose shores, methought, on good advantage stood for my receipt, rock free, and fenc'd from wind. And this I put for, gathering up my mind. Then the divine night came, and treading earth, close by the flood that had from Jove her birth, within a thicket I repos'd, when round I ruffled up fallen leaves in heap, and found, let fall from heav'n, a sleep interminate. And here my heart long time excruciate amongst the leaves I rested all that night, even till the morning and meridian light, the sun declining then. Delightsome sleep no longer laid my temples in his steep. But forth I went, and on the shore might see your daughter's maids play. Like a deity she shin'd above them, and I pray'd to her, and she in disposition did prefer noblesse and wisdom, no more low than might become the goodness of a Goddess' height. Nor would you therefore hope, suppose distress'd as I was then, and old, to find the least of any grace from her, being younger far. With young folks wisdom makes her commerce rare. Yet she in all abundance did bestow both wine, that makes the blood in humans grow, and food, and bath'd me in the flood, and gave the weeds to me which now ye see me have. This through my griefs I tell you, and 'tis true. Alcinous answer'd: "Guest, my daughter knew least of what most you give her, nor became the course she took, to let with every dame your person lackey, nor hath with them brought yourself home too, which first you had besought." "O blame her not," said he, "heroical lord, Nor let me hear against her worth a word. She faultless is, and wish'd I would have gone With all her women home; but I alone Would venture my receipt here, having fear And reverend awe of accidents that were Of likely issue, both your wrath to move, And to inflame the common people's love Of speaking ill, to which they soon give place. We men are all a most suspicious race." "My guest," said he, "I use not to be stirr'd to wrath too rashly, and where are preferr'd To men's conceits things that may both ways fail, The noblest ever should the most prevail. Would Jove our Father, Pallas, and the Sun, That, were you still as now, and could but run One fate with me, you would my daughter wed, And be my son in law, still vow'd to lead Your rest of life here. I a house would give, And household goods, so freely you would live, Confin'd with us. But 'gainst your will shall none Contain you here, since that were violence done To Jove our Father. For your passage home, that you may well know we can overcome so great a voyage, thus it shall succeed. To morrow shall our men take all their heed, While you securely sleep, to see the seas In calmest temper, and, if that will please, Show you your country and your house ere night, Though far beyond Eubœa be that sight. And this Eubœa, as our subjects say That have been there and seen, is far away, Farthest from us of all the parts they know, And made the trial when they help'd to roll The gold lock'd Rhadamanth, to give him view Of earth born Tityus, whom their speeds did show In that far off Eubœa, the same day They set from hence, and home made good their way With ease again, and him they did convey. Which I report to you, to let you see How swift my ships are, and how matchlessly My young Phæacians with their oars prevail To beat the sea through, and assist to sail." This cheer'd Ulysses, who in private pray'd, I would to Jove our Father, what he said He could perform at all parts, he should then Be glorified for ever, and I gain My natural country. This discourse they had, when fair arm'd Arete her handmaids bad A bed make in the portico, and ply With cloths, the cov'ring tapestry, The blankets purple, well napp'd waistcoats too, To wear for more warmth. What these had to do, They torches took, and did. The bed purvey'd, they mov'd Ulysses for his rest, and said: "Come, guest, your bed is fit, now fram'd to rest." Motion of sleep was gracious to their guest, Which now he took profoundly, being laid Within a loop holed tow'r, where was convey'd The sounding portico. The king took rest In a retir'd part of the house, where drest The queen herself abed, and trundle bed, And by her lord repos'd her rev'rend head.